Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And in today's range report, we're going to be taking a look at another fine firearm from Noveske, a fantastic AR-15 style rifle manufacturer. And this one has quite a long name, so I want to make sure that I get it right. This is the Noveske N6 Gen 4 Heavy Leonidas Switchblock 308. And that is a lot of words to say. This is a 308 pistol with a 12.5-inch barrel with an adjustable gas block chambered in 308. And all of the Noveskes that I have reviewed in the recent past have been absolutely fantastic. In fact, they're a company that has changed my mind on one thing. For the most part, I have never liked billet lowers and uppers. However, Noveske is the one company that seems to do these better than anybody else. And I kind of feel like the aesthetics of these Noveske rifles are absolutely fantastic. And I've really fallen in love with their 9mm Space Baby and Space Invader. And so I'm really hoping that this 308 pistol is going to change my mind on these types of firearms. Now, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, you probably know that this is a type of gun I kind of hate reviewing because I don't see any purpose to them. Now, I do want to say, if you love these types of guns or you own these types of guns, I am in no way criticizing you. But for me, shoving a 308 in a very small, what would normally be an SBR, but in this case is a pistol, because it does have a pistol stabilizing brace, doesn't serve much of a purpose. For me, a full-powered rifle round like 308 is designed for long distance engagements, and when I have a gun chambered in that, I'm thinking I want an 18 or 20-inch barrel. Putting it in a 12.5-inch barrel is just going to mean the report of this gun is going to be very loud and we're going to get a big flash. But that also means we're going to have a lot of recoil. And so is this gun supposed to be a defensive carbine? Well, 308 might be a little bit of overkill for a gun of this size. But who knows? Maybe this is going to be just an amazing pistol and it's going to change my mind. But we're going to have to find out. But before we get this to the range and I talk about all the things that I like and don't like, as always, I want to thank the people that make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this really cool pistol. His name is D. He's a local fan and subscriber, and he has an amazing collection, and he has lent some fine firearms to this channel for me to review. So thank you once again, D. I always want to thank my Patreons, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here, and I couldn't do it without them. And if you guys want to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, there will be a link in the description below, and you can see all of these videos early. And as always, I want to thank my primary sponsor, who always provides all of the ammunition for these range reports and thus makes them financially feasible for me, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And like always, I'm telling you, I am the most blessed YouTuber in the world getting to review such fine, high-end firearms like this Noveske. And I know if you follow the Texas Gun Vault, you like high-end guns, and you probably have a great collection of them of your own. You probably have high-end 1911s, Browning high powers, Beretta 92s, or CZ75s, just to name a few. And if you like high-end guns, you like high-end grips, and you want these grips to make your pistols unique and one of a kind. Well, I have the perfect grip company for you, Brownworks. Brownworks is a custom grip company making a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms that have a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. Mark, he's an artist and he is a craftsman. He's always coming up with new and innovative features for his grips, such as applying exotic materials like snakeskin and alligator skin, applying custom logos, custom engravings, custom textures, finishing these grips in a wide variety of colors, and he can even produce things like his own custom laminate woods. Anything you can imagine, he can make. So I'm going to put a link to his website in the comments section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. And I'm going to ask you guys to go over to his website and see everything he has to offer. And when you place that first order for that set of custom grips, please tell Mark the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so once again, let's talk about the awesome pistol we have on the table today. And yes, this is a pistol, and I know that confuses some of our friends across the pond who don't understand American gun laws because this has a pistol stabilizing brace. It is not a rifle or an SBR. It is a pistol. So this gun has a 12.5-inch barrel, chambered in .308. It is made by Noveske, and the model, once again, is the N6 Gen 4 Heavy Leonidas Switchblock. Chambered in .308, of course. And the way this gun is set up, I kind of think it's designed to be a defensive carbine. So that's the way that I'm going to review this. I could easily take this to the rifle range, but because it has such a short barrel and the way that it has all these accessories, I'm thinking somebody that buys this really just wants an AR rifle that is way overpowered. So that's the way that I'm going to try to review and shoot this. And as always, before taking this to the range, I want to talk about the things that I like and don't like, and I always want to start with the positive first. And I've already alluded to what that first thing is. It's a Noveske. And Noveske is a company that I have come to grow and love. Now, I don't personally have any in my collection yet, but I definitely want one. I have been so happy getting to hold these and shoot these because they are just such high quality. I'm always impressed. The fit and the finish is just outstanding, and you really have to hold one to appreciate it. They're an American company that takes a lot of pride in building these fine firearms, and they have just shown me after every review I've done of them that they are serious about manufacturing great and accurate firearms. And like most of the Noveskes that I have reviewed, this gun comes with many ambi controls. We have the safety selector switch, the mag catch, the bolt release on both sides. We even have a charging handle that has ambi controls on it. I love the color of this gun. Now, this is going to be some type of painted Cerakote finish, but I will tell you the finishes that they put on their guns are applied perfectly. I don't think I have ever seen a single blemish in any of their guns. They also add a very nice dead air flash hider on the front of this, so if you have any dead air silencers, you can use them, but I definitely prefer flash hiders over muzzle brakes, and on a gun this short, a flash hider is definitely the way to go in my opinion. And these guns also ship with Magpul Pro backup sights, and even though I'm not going to use them today, they are my favorite iron sights. They just seem to work. And I do like that they include those in the box because many high-end manufacturers these days do not include any sights whatsoever. Now let's talk about a couple things about this gun that I don't like. And I've already talked a little bit about it early in this video, in that it is a .308 carbine. I have no idea why anybody wants a .308 SBR. It is essentially overkill. You're not going to get the full ballistic potential out of .308, and it's going to take a gun that essentially is a defensive firearm and make it way overpowered. That if you ever had to use this in a real defensive scenario, you're going to have too much flash, too much report, and it's probably going to be a little bit too unwieldy. I understand the appeal. There is a cool factor to it. There's some people that just love big, loud guns, and I know that's what this is going to be. But from a practical standpoint, I just don't think it really has anything to offer. The other thing you have to take into consideration with a .308 or an AR-10 style AR of this size is that it's going to be pretty hefty. If you're going to use this for home defense, this is going to weigh a lot more than a lightweight 5.56 AR-15. And when you're at the range shooting this, or if you have to lug this around, it gets quite heavy. Not only is it in .308, it is made of those billet receivers, and so you have a lot more mass in this gun. Now that may temper down the recoil a little bit, but you have to compensate that with a lot more weight. And just shooting this a bunch at the range, I can tell you, it wears you out a little bit quicker than a standard AR-15. It's just a heavy firearm. The last thing about this gun I don't like, which I'm not going to hold against the gun because it was added by D, is this SB Tactical brace. Now this brace I think is a little bit out of spec because it does not go over this buffer tube very well, and you'll see I'll push down the adjustment latch and I have to really, even if I pull really hard, it doesn't move. It is just simply on this buffer tube way too tight, and I've had a very difficult time adjusting this. Now when these guns ship, they typically do not come with a brace of any kind. So as I said, I'm not going to hold that against this gun, but this SB Tactical brace, I'm not sure which model it is also very small. You don't get a lot of area here in the back on your shoulder, and I think you're going to have a lot more recoil because it's coming into your shoulder in a much smaller place. Now, let's talk about the trigger. Now, I'm going to put this in the world of being neutral. It's not great, but it's not bad either. You all know that I'm not a big fan of flat face triggers, and guess what ships with this gun? Yes, a flat face trigger, but this is a Geisley, so I'm hoping it's going to be very nice. Every Geisley trigger I try out is awesome. So besides the face of the trigger, which I may not like, I think this trigger overall and its pull is going to be really nice. So I'm going to get out the Lineman trigger pull weight gauge. We're going to test this trigger out here on the bench before getting into the range and seeing what it's all about. So let me adjust the camera now and let's check this trigger out. So let's check out this trigger and see what it is all about. Of course, we'll drop the magazine first, ensure there is no ammunition in it, set that aside, then we will safety check the firearm, come over to this side, pull that charging handle back and make sure that the chamber is empty, and it looks like we are good. Now the first thing I want to show you is the trigger pull. So let's take a look at this take-up. There's that flat face trigger. And we do not have a lot of take-up. It is smooth. There's absolutely no grit whatsoever. You hit the wall, and that is an exceptionally light trigger. I don't know what it weighs yet, but I would say it's probably around the 3.5 pound range, maybe even lighter. And then here we have the reset. Very short, and that reset is loud, tactile, and audible. And then we have just that little bit of take-up. This being a Geisley trigger, it feels absolutely fantastic. So that's what the trigger is all about. So now let's get out the Lineman trigger pull weight gauge. Let's turn it on, let's clear the averages, and let's see how heavy this trigger actually is. So for our first pull, £3 13.2 ounces. £2 14.2 ounces. Now this is why this flat face is a little bit hard to measure, because depending on where this gauge goes, it can give you quite a bit of variation. But I try to be as consistent as possible, putting it right there in the middle. The next pull, £3 7.2 ounces. £3 7.7 ounces. £3 11.1 ounces, and let's do one more, because we had that really light pull one time. And then we have £3 9.7 ounces, which gives us an average of £3 7.8 ounces. So that is a pretty darn light trigger, especially for a .308 pistol. So that's what this trigger is all about. But this Geisley trigger is really nice. I just wish it had a curved face to it. It would make it absolutely perfect. All right, so it's time to get this thing to the range and see what it's all about. Now this gun does have an adjustable gas block. Now I'm going to start with the gas block fully closed. Now the gas will still come back into the gun, but of course course, this is probably designed to run suppress, so it may or may not run. If I have problems there, I'll go to the second setting, and then finally the third setting. So hopefully we'll find a gas setting that will work. So here we go. Let's go to the range, 10 yards, first shots, and let's see how it runs. And as expected, the first setting was way too undergassed. In fact, it was short stroking. It didn't really even eject the cartridge. Now, the second one was enough to load the next cartridge. It ejected the casing, but it didn't go back far enough to cock the hammer. So we're both short stroking. Now, I will say a lot of people are going to tell me that this gun is designed to be suppressed, and that is a very fair point. However, if you have 3 settings, I really feel like that middle setting should be able to run unsuppressed. I totally get that first setting, and the reason for that is there are going to be a lot of people that can buy this gun and own this gun in jurisdictions where they can't own suppressors, and I kind of feel like a gun like this deserves to be in the hands of everybody that's legally allowed to own them. So if you have a gun that has settings or it's designed specifically just for suppression, well, you're going to limit your audience, and some people might buy this in places that they can't own a suppressor and then have a gun that doesn't run reliably. All right, so now I'm going to set the gas block at its most open setting, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get this thing to run. And we have a problem. We had one case that failed to extract. We had a double feed. Oh boy, I hope this isn't going to continue. Of course, I've already told you about the problems with these adjustable gas blocks and the designers of these guns saying these guns are designed to be suppressed. Well, once again, not everyone can suppress them. So you should at least have a setting that will run them unsuppressed. But another problem with having a .308 pistol like this, especially with such a short barrel, is that you have such a short dwell time. Essentially, from the time the projectile passes the gas block and exits the barrel, we don't have enough time for the gas pressures behind the projectile to build up to cycle the bolt. So you really have to have a very open gas port and an open gas block to make this run reliably. So hopefully this is going to be the only issue we have. But at this distance, the gun obviously is going to be exceptionally accurate. And as I said, I want to review this as a defensive carbine. All right, so now we're going to go out to about 15 yards, see what happens to this group. We're going to put some more rounds through this, make sure it continues to function, because that's what I want to test more than anything. I already know this gun's going to be accurate. It's a Noveske, but will it be reliable? It is a .308 pistol. So let's go back to the range and see how it does. And that time it ran pretty good. I will say the recoil of this is pretty heavy, and that was to be expected, and the gun is really heavy. And because we have so much recoil, it's a lot harder to keep it on target. And I think that is why I say this is not going to be a very good self-defense carbine. If you had to shoot this really fast and be very accurate with it, especially in a CQB type of setting, you're going to have a hard time keeping this pointed where you want it, because shot placement is so important. And also, if you're going to use this indoors, 308 is a very powerful round, and you're probably going to get a lot of over penetration. So I don't really know what the purpose of a gun like this is supposed to be. All right, so now I'm going to set the target at 25 yards, and I'm going to bench rest this. Now, I know this gun is going to be super accurate, but I want to put it through the paces that I would put through any AR-15 that's designed for CQB. So let's go back to the range, 25 yards. Let's shoot this from a barrier, see how accurate it is, and hopefully I won't have any problems. And unfortunately, we're running into a lot of problems. And these problems are actually major malfunctions. We're getting double feeds, and these failures to extract are getting caught in the ejection port, caught in the barrel. It's kind of a nightmare. You're just not getting your usual stovepipe. So is this gun undergassed? It might be. And even on the most open setting, is this gun designed to be run suppressed only? And if that's the case, I think it is a flaw in the design. What's the point of even having an adjustable gas block if it's not going to run unsuppressed. I totally get it. In its most closed setting, it should run suppressed, but unsuppressed, it should be wide open and run just fine, but that is not what we're experiencing. So I'm kind of concerned this gun is not going to be reliable if you don't run it with a can. All right, so the next test I want to do is set out a target, try to shoot this thing fast at multiple targets, 2 on each one, and see if I can acquire the target quickly, how fast I can shoot this, and how accurate I can be. So let's go back to the range and see if this thing is even plausible as a CQB defense weapon. And before I had to stop because we were having way too many failures, I can tell you this gun has so much recoil, it's not very accurate if you're trying to shoot it fast. So this is definitely not a competition style gun. If you want a gun for this type of engagement, go with an AR-15, not an AR-10 style gun. But let's talk about these malfunctions. This is making this range report pretty much impossible. And I'm going to have to discontinue the shooting now because the gun just is not reliable. I really feel like it's an undergassing issue. I feel like it's feeding fine if it had enough gas. It seems to be working, it's accurate, it just doesn't have enough gas to cycle the bolt. It could be the dwell time, it could be the gas block is too closed off, it could be the gas port. I'm not 100% sure. I am a little bit disappointed because all of the other Noveskes that I have reviewed in the past have run like a top. They've just been absolutely spectacular, and this gun is just not working that well. So unfortunately, that's about all the shooting I can do with this because it just doesn't run reliably. So I'm going to let D, the owner of this pistol, know, and he can decide what he wants to do. Maybe he'll test it with some different ammunition, but he might have to have some work done on this. But that is what I discovered. Now remember, this is only an example of one. Just because you own one and it runs great doesn't mean that my experience with this gun is wrong or yours is right or wrong or any of that. I'm just saying, I'm showing you what happened when I shot it, and you can take that information and do with it as you like. So that's all I can do at the range with this, so I guess we're going to go right into my final thoughts. And what are my final thoughts on the Noveske N6 Heavy Leonidas pistol chambered in .308 with the Switchblock adjustable gas block? Well, I am obviously very, very disappointed in this. This gun is way undergassed. It has way too many failures, and it has a lot of recoil. And this is one of the guns that I say has an identity crisis. What is it supposed to be? If it's just supposed to be a range toy, that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to buy this as a self-defense carbine for your house, I personally think it's overkill. If you're going to buy it for a DMR rifle, well, I think it's too short. You're not going to get the full ballistic advantage of a .308 with a barrel so short. So what's its point? Am I saying that it's a bad gun because of its design? No. If you like guns like this, more power to you. I don't judge you for it. It's just not the type of gun that I like because I don't see any practical purpose for it outside of just being really loud and obnoxious at the range. And that's fine if that's what you want the gun for. So on my star system, how would I rate the Noveske N6 Heavy Leonidas .308 pistol? Well, because this thing simply is not running well, I can only give it 1.5 stars out of 5. I know it's a Noveske. It's going to be accurate. I know it is well built. It's just not reliable, and if I can't do a basic range report with this, well, it's just not good enough to get any more than 1.5 stars. I know this is an expensive gun, and Noveske makes great products, and I have no doubt that if this really is a mechanical problem with this gun, Noveske will take care of it. So I will have to let D know, and he'll have to decide what he wants to do. But only 1.5 stars out of 5 for the Noveske Heavy Leonidas 308 pistol. Kind of disappointing, and I'm sorry I was not able to shoot it more and bring you more range footage, but that is all that I discovered about this, so there's not really much to say. And if you own one of these, I would like to know if it runs well for you, and do you guys own any 308 pistols that are this short, and do you have any reliability issues? Because I really feel like the Achilles heel of this design is that it is a 308 with such a short barrel. They're just hard to get gassed correctly. They're hard to get balanced. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you've shot a gun like this, do your experiences mirror mine? So, as always, thanks for watching.